Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Canyon. Welcome back to another one of those installments where it is named what it is named because it generally involves doing something I wouldn't actively recommend you do. Right? Luckily, this one didn't involve direct expenditure. One of the loyal few, the followers of the Canyon Arrows, sent in a set of tires that presumably they were doing what I do in a similar fashion, doom scrolling along and saw a tire and was like, oh yeah, we have to see that. So, we go into the Dumbview. We put on our Dumbview jacket, metaphysically, and we are going to sally forth. We're going to move out onto the course, and we're going to see how a rock. Is this a rock crawling tire? Right? That's a KLR, right? 06 KLR. But also, okay. Along with these, in an additional box, but from the same place. I mean, when this shows up, you're like, what is that? And then you open it up, and it is very fancy beadlocks. Big chunks of billet. Because these are sold as a 3-inch tire, but we will explain a little bit more onto that here in a moment. A 3-inch tire and a 3-inch tire are apparently two completely separate things. This is, as you can see, a standard 8th scale buggy wheel. These are also Traction Hobby Voodoo KLRs. Where that meets up with OT6, I don't know. But we have many, dating back many years, as you can tell. This is a Proline caliber. It goes back a good long ways. I'm trying to see if I can tell what kind of wheels it are. They're on Proline. You can just see the PL through the scuffing. That's from rubbing on pipes. This is an 8th scale buggy wheel. So, what is this? And then this is a fairly new, illegal for rock crawlers, kind of like unauthorized Lego techniques, illegal. Says who? Just do it. Landmine from J Concepts, which is even smaller, ever so slightly smaller than a buggy tire. What is this? This is kind of some bizarre middle landing between a buggy tire and a truggy tire, which I wish I could go like this, but I can't. It says 5 by 1.8 R3.0, so I made a fairly long and devoted effort to try to get him to mount on these, but we can exhibit thusly. So this is the inner ring, right? If you're familiar with how buggy tires work, they're glued to this outer lip. So that white is the actual inner diameter of the lip. So these just dropped straight through. So the lip, it'll be super easy to show with the ring. Quite a lot too small to hold these. And these these measure 3 inches. So in reality, a 3-inch buggy tire is about 3 1/4. So they're about 82, 83 millimeters. If we're gonna do it, we gotta do it. These are very light. They're on a glue-on buggy wheel, which are extraordinarily strong. Yeah, 128. So, they say 5 inches. How about 5 inches? Truth in advertising. Is it going to be 1.8 wide? It's going to be a little wide. I mean, close. It's 50 millimeters. They're 50 millimeters wide. 51-ish millimeters would be 2 inches. Am I correct? So a hair over that 50. That could just be how they glued down. My current favorite glue right now for gluing tires is Loctite Super Glue Professional Liquid. Peel it back, put a drop. Peel it back, put a drop. These went down. Like, I don't think, well, I don't think we're going to sling one off the wheel. I was extremely careful to mount 2 lefts and 2 rights because these are very much directional. They are fitted with the foams that came with them, which I would call a medium soft. For something that goes fast, where did he go? The foam inside this and inside this are basically, think of the inner from a 2-stage. Closed cell foam is the game of the day. Like the deflection is that much. They're hard because these go fast. This was open cell, what I would call a medium soft, ribbed and belted. So they go fast, but they also don't. It's also 5 inch is a very strange size. Because, you know, it's much above a class 2, but about the width of a class 2. In terms of what is on the rack, certainly closest to a 2.2 LP. It's a little, there we go. Little shorter, little wider. I don't know what these come from. I don't know what Traction Hobby puts a 3-inch Voodoo KLR on. The compound, we don't get any real Starsky. They've been really grabby. I was accidentally rolling them over beadlock screws and it would pick them up and take them with them. So I have no idea what these are. I just know that they are close enough to class 3. And as they are buggy with a 17mm hex, Amazon to the rescue. $8 for a set of 4. And you know what? They get the offset just about perfect. These, like, that looks, well, hold on, we'll complete the image. These look pretty good. And because a 3-inch buggy wheel is designed to clear giant pillow ball knuckles, we're definitely not going to have any sort of interference between wheel and hardware. Do you want to know, would you care to know the level of devotion involved in installments of the Dumb? This one up there with the others. This gentleman, Wolverine, runs 5mm stub axles with big 5mm lock nuts. These big lock nuts like this. These adapters are built for 4mm axles. So you might think, oh well, he had to open it all up and switch all of the axles out for 4mm. That is halfway true. Because what I did instead was I just built all new outers with weights and covers and hexes and everything so that I can just undo 16 screws and put my old knuckles back on. Yeah, so, I mean, not an insignificant expenditure of time for just nonsense. But there we are. And, like I said, that's not bad. That 5-inch, that's an acceptable size. We will run it through something approximating the tire test protocol. It's a Dumbview, so we don't have to go all the way, and we free ourselves of those shackles because it kind of almost. These would have to be astonishing for me to say, oh yeah, you should go out and get some of these, because we have a lot of options, a lot of which are more inexpensive, more easily available. KLRs are good. We run KLR, the V1 KLRs on a rig here. We've gone through a number of KLR tires over time. In the spirit of gotta catch them all, we'll try to get them on the leaderboard if they show any sort of promise. If we hear the loud squeaking and squidging and squonking as we're trying to go up Slick Rock, then I guess we'll just mash about a bit and see how much speed it takes to crest over obstacles. But as of now, we stay hopeful because it is, by all of its appearance, a KLR. It says Voodoo KLR on the sidewall, but it does say Traction Hobby. And let's be completely honest, as this is a very Americentric place, I don't know what Traction Hobby does. That's not a thing that we have here. Brands like Traction Hobby, FTX, RGT, They basically don't exist here. You won't find part support for them. You won't find them sold regularly. We can barely get a hold of Charisma, Cross, G-Made. We can barely get a hold of those. The part support and everything for that is very... You can basically buy Cross from one place. In somewhere in Minnesota, Wisconsin, somewhere up in there. We're kind of stuck with the big four. So Traction Hobby, definitely not one of the big four. But nevertheless, junk views always teach us something. They trend from the ridiculous to the sublime, and the hope is, at the initiation of every one of these, that we land at one end of the spectrum or the other. I don't want a tire that's like, oh, well, it's a 92 on the test, because then what's the point? I want so bad it's almost unbelievable, or surprisingly good. So let us all go together, hope for the latter, and see what we end up out on the course with the Traction Hobby Voodoo KLR 3-inch. I wanted so much for you all to get to see the very first hit of these that I didn't even drive back. We carried him out here because I want to see it happen. It's a good amount of lug noise, but that's not bad. That's not bad. And I don't want to get too excited about it. We'll wait till we get to the side hill. Side hill should be something else. I just heard a little bit of slide there. I just heard the very telltale knock of a rock on the side of a 3-inch plastic buggy wheel. So it's a particular sound. A little pushy, but not nearly as much as one would estimate. Oh, a little bit of fallback. Yeah, they're behaving hard. Now, because I think these are probably either meant for or included with something that goes kind of fast, yeah, unsurprisingly, they do reasonably well under a above middle level of throttle. Far more lug noise than I was anticipating. The compound feels firm, but it doesn't feel that firm. But at the same time, for something that has that amount of lug noise, basically what we have is nothing that behaves like a side lug. Boop. Yeah, they act like they're where the side leg should be. Feels like the corner of a table. So there's a real defined point. I'm making all sorts of hand gestures back here. I'm like, defined point where you get onto the side and then just whoop, away it goes. Because it doesn't deflect. Also, something definitely to consider. This guy's everyday wheels and the style of wheels that he typically tests wheels on are like the -10 2.2 Injoras. These are plastic buggy wheels. All 4 of them weigh 2 ounces. Might weigh 60 grams. An individual wheel for this guy is 100 grams. So our sprung to unsprung, that's probably actually the biggest part of it. There is the sharp shoulder, but we're talking about 4 wheels and tires cumulatively that weigh, probably about the same as what one of his front wheels weighs. So we're down, and that's all unsprung. Now, I do notice the rotating mass reduction. We're pretty sprightly. And it is again showing us that all that sidewall, all that ability to deflect, how often is that actually helping us? Helps in the real world, obviously, because they're dealing with effectively a different form of physics than we are. These are very nearly gripping. I'm using a very low level of throttle input right now. These are going. Another one of those tires, I can never remember which. Every once in a while we'll encounter a tire that has a pretty decent helping of forward drive, but is also really loud in terms of lug noise. These have quite a lot of lug noise, but they're driving, they're doing it. Now, Slick Rock is not the grand determiner. It'll give us an insight into kind of how much forward drive is available, but we need to see tougher stuff for these. Yeah, the point of where the shoulder, the stiff table shoulder comes into play, you can catch it. It's predictable, as it should be, because we have a whole lot of rim and a very little bit of sidewall. And a foam that's relatively firm. Yeah, that's a nice drop. Oh. There, yeah, you get reverse up the hill and you get the real lug noise in. I am taken back by how well these are doing at very low levels of throttle input. This, I do not, okay, the OT6 KLR is a crawler tire. But I think this physically, obvious statement of the video perhaps, is not a crawler tire. Yet. Still better than many. So I feel like we're really looking at lug performance above everything else. We don't have the advantage of a lot of unsprung weight. I don't think we really have an advantage in compound because they are ribbed and belted. We don't really have, so there is side lug on the tire, but it's not really usable. Yeah, you got to bounce them a little bit. I am not detecting, get over. Fell right back. Get over. I'm not really noticing much in the way of, there isn't a lot holding this back that is directly related to the fact that it's a 3-inch wheel. I don't think that's the problem. I think that this is a compound that is for something that probably goes faster. So if anybody knows, I'm going to call it out now. Please link or just give a model name, because I know YouTube likes to delete comments that have links in them. If you're on the Discord, put a link in the Discord to what these are from. I don't know. My favorite part of this whole thing is getting the buggy knock. That sound of that hollow wheel bonking against a rock. Okay, this right here. It's more forward drive than it ought to have. And, I like that. No, now I think my favorite thing is the sun coming through that rear wheel. Amazing. These shouldn't be this good. I think once these start to break in, like that, once the foam gets a little smushy and the tire starts to soften up a little, I think these would actually be reasonably okay. Shouldn't be, but are. Aside from the tread, there's nothing crawler oriented on this tire. The tread pattern. Compound feels a little too hard. But look at you, KLR. You kind of can use. It is difficult to position without giving it some throttle. Right there, look at that rear just hanging. Give it a little bit more. Yeah. I mean, this has been established. We already know this. The KLR is a darn good rock crawling tire. I just don't happen to like the V2s because they're too skinny. Woo! Grab some fence there. These are basically the width of the old V1s, which are the ones that I do like. So this is like a V. It's halfway between a buggy tire and a truggy tire. It's halfway between a Class 2 and a 2.2 LP. It is a weird unicorn of a tire. I'm trying, like, what are these for? They are too good at rock crawling for a tire that I have convinced myself in my head, with no evidence to back it up, that comes on a vehicle that has a wing on it. I feel almost certain that these come on a vehicle that has a wing on it. Oh, that hard shoulder, just look at that high side tire. We floated the high side tire across. It's just enough grip. It's just enough grip. And this is, in terms of Dumbview stuff, this is outright pleasing. These tires are pretty good at rock crawling. And of the tires that we've tested that are not rock crawling tires, I want to say these are doing the best at it, because this is the chocolate and the peanut butter. KLR works. Even in a basher compound, these would last you for eternity. They're gonna look weird on most anything that you put them on, I fear, because that's a lot of rim. But you don't need a fancy foam. You certainly don't need a dual stage, because there's not enough tire in the dual stage. The turn-in is crisp. Like this guy turns in sharp. Doesn't quite have the forward drive that we've come to expect of sticky compounds. It has just that right amount of slide away. I kind of have to view it as through the lens of a Class 2, even though, because it's above, it's at 5 inches, we're looking at it as a Class 3. Because in the Class 2 terms, this is solid. As a Class 3, I mean, the competition is too stiff. I mean, if it's this or a LP Tusk, LP Rupture, I'm trying to think. What have did I test LP Hyrax? LP Hyrax are okay. I would put these not as good as an LP Hyrax, but better than a lot of tires, real tires, not just ones we test because we do this stuff. So these have already achieved sentimental favorite status in Dumbview tire. Do you have enough? That's really low throttle input for what these are, to be getting anything. Very low in the rotating mass. Yeah, they like themselves a bit of throttle. Oh, nice. They don't quite have finish. Yeah, you gotta use some pep. You gotta use some pep on it. I don't know where you would employ these. Nor am I suggesting that you run out and get them. But pleasantly surprising. Yeah. So this does it tangentially answers a question that you may not have known that you had, which is how much, I often think about this a lot. Canyon Trail tread pattern is most of it, because we've tested fake ones. We've tested the old RTR compound, which someone said they called S2. I've never seen them marketed as S2. I just call it the old RTR compound. S1 compound. We've tried a variety of TRX4s and TRX4 clone tires, Canyon Trails, and they're all pretty effective. The compound is not the number one. The tread is most of it. And I guess the KLR is in the same category, because this is not particularly a crawling compound. It is not a crawling layout of the tire. It is ribbed, it is belted, it is on extremely lightweight wheels. All y'alls with your carbon wheels, these are lighter than those and probably more rigid. And you could have the biggest knuckle weight imaginable, because look at the amount of space around that knuckle. And you're never going to strip out a 17 millimeter hex. I've never done it. If you're spinning a 17 millimeter hex, you are doing something. Surprisingly stable for how light the stuff under the rig is. Tumbledore is going to be interesting. I feel like if there's going to be a spot where the house of cards is going to fall apart, it's going to be here. Already looks okay. You have to be pretty selective in where you place your line, because you can do a sit and spin sort of. And we do have enough, getting a lot of 3.0 wheel noise now. You don't have to worry about that rear end over collapsing though. We get out of there? Hey! Oh no! Yee. So these un-KLRs, whatever they are molded out of, it's not, you know, this is not OT6 compound. Because when I do you have it? Do you have it? No, you didn't. Save it, save it, save it. I mean, they've been surprising me since we hit a rock. They're really surprising me now. Whatever they're molded out of, that compound smells so strong. I could smell it as I walked up to the vehicle to flip them over. I think it's because we're grinding away at the rubber, and it's really bringing. It's not a predator stink. It's just a sort of very synthetic, rubbery odor. There is a certain point where there just isn't traction. Get a little, and then, oh, got enough. Thought we were going to do a slide back again. When they drop on you, they drop. Do these bump well? Yes. There's no perceptible, I mean, maybe when we get over there might be, but there is no perceptible energy return from the tire of the insert. They don't fight you at all. Yo! Oh, almost a save. We can do this real quick. Are we going to get gate kept, or will we be able to get on? That's already too good. Crawler tires should be embarrassed, because the translation, now we're in a really bad position. Can we, nope. You know what, I'm going to do it again. The lateral is just really loose. Like, we do not have the position ability that we have on other tires. When a tread block goes loose, it goes really loose. Should not be able to do that. Shouldn't be able to do that. Now I got a hook edge right here. I don't know if these have the precision. No, they do not. Getting onto that is a victory for this tire. No, you got nothing. It's a crawler pattern on a non-crawler tire. So are we going to fall apart at positionability? Because they haven't been remarkably good at it. Better than expected by a lot. No, that was solid. Get through. Yeah, real wide push there. Probably the biggest component of that is the just lack of weight. Unsprung weight very low. We kind of, you notice, kind of, the word is spastic where it kind of twitches and jerks because there's no weight out at the end of the axles now. But the pattern, I think we can get this. Yeah, I can't throw any weight around. So there we go. We'll go through there. Yeah, when it falls, it falls. I think honestly these will get better over time. No fall away there. Little bit of slide. How much are we going to push? Real little. Real little. Got to cut back this way because we're too close to the other side. Yeah. That is maneuverability beyond what I would have anticipated. For sure. The score's a little bit all over the place. But the fact that it's going to pull a score, and looking at the numbers so far, a score above a 93 means you could actually buy these? That sounds weird. It's not a proper day unless you drop the radio at least once. Get it? Get it? Oh. Maybe just not enough? Well, that's an outside cut. That's not a smart one. Positionability is better than I would have thought, but it's not great. Oh, you. Yeah, I feel like we got over to here and all of a sudden the traction fell away. I felt like I had way more over on Dumbview. And I think I know why that is. There's no spot that we can power cheat Daphne's third here. It has to be taken at a reasonably low level of throttle. Get it, get it, get it. Don't push wide, don't push wide. Nope, overloaded. Could also be that the unsprung here is just killing us. I almost just dropped the radio again. Well, I don't drop it. I set it on the bucket chair when I go to move something. Okay, the bump is pretty bad. The bump is pretty bad. There's a good amount of fallback there. So we're gonna do something. We're gonna invalidate everything because it doesn't matter. It does not matter. On the there's a tire test protocol equivalent of the Mendoza line for those of you who don't understand. If you understand a baseball reference, if you do not. The Mendoza line is a batting average at which point, like basically, no matter how good that person is defensively, that player, catchers seem to fall into this category a lot. If they can't hit, they can't make up for the fact that they're tremendous at defense. They would have to be utterly tremendous at defense. So the Mendoza line is this batting average that if you fall below that, they're going to be like, well, you're going to go maybe try another career. So that here in tire test protocol is 93, is a 93 even. A tire below a 93, there's not really a point in buying that tire. There are better options for the same money. There are better options for less. There are better options for whatever application. These are alarming me at how good they are at rock crawling, but they're not particularly good at it. And in terms of a class 3, they're kind of bad at it. So, we're still going to do, we're going to wander over here and we're going to do gate 5. We're going to hit Hans Booby. We're going to wet the rock down and hit it on the wet. And it's going to get a 93, 93.0. I've already gone and set the board down because it doesn't really matter. This is a Dumbview, so we have more flexibility here. This is a tire that, there we go. We're gonna set it at a 93 because I think you could buy it and you could find something to do with this. But you gotta know that it's right there. At 32 degrees, water freezes. So at 32.0 degrees Fahrenheit, you have ice. At 31.9, it's still ice, and at 32.1, it's turning back into water. So we have 93, which means if this was a 92.9, don't get it. If it was a 93.1, I feel like that extra tenth would be me tacitly telling you, yeah, you should go get these. No, this is a decision for you to make knowing what you have witnessed. Because as much of a good time has been had, the percentage of chance of these making this is low single digits. I don't even know if these have the gumption to get on all the way. Yeah, just kind of. We'd need more weight, I think. Nice little bounce landing. Nice bounce landing. Yeah. Ooh. Skid. This links in. Flip. Flip. Nope. One more. Because I knew. Like, as soon as that approach onto Daphne's wasn't going to make it. Uh-oh. Yeah, nope. And the ultimate evidence of the messed up sprung to unsprung ratio is that final little last bit. How did it have enough energy in it to still just roll that one more half of a time to turn that 360 into a 540? That's why we're sticking with a 93, because I think you can do something with them. But know that whatever you put them on, crawling should be that rig's second job. Or perhaps, maybe not even crawling as job one. Well, certainly not crawling as job one. But maybe not crawling as job two. Maybe it's crawling as job none. Like, does other things, can crawl a little if you have to. It has been consistently surprising in its performance throughout, but consider the competition. A stretched rupture is this exact size. Like a 1.9 rupture on a 2.2 wheel. It's not even going to be close. It's going to be an outright beating. In terms of novelty stuff, coming out of a Dumbview, this might be the best we've ever seen. Will it be the best we'll ever see? I don't know. Ugh. I can't get used to the lack of weight from a buggy wheel. And something tells me that we're not going to excel on wet, not because specifically of the compound, but I think more, would you hold? This. But more related to the fact that this compound likes to go a little faster. Yeah, pop through. Yeah, as soon as I went, I was trying to do a little bit of steady state. As soon as I pulled the trigger up to just that little bit higher of a level of throttle, it was like, okay, let's go. We don't even have the big hit to forward traction. Now, stability, boy, he's a tumbletron. Be aware that 2 ounces of wheels is really gonna flop around. But these are proper wet, and honestly, you see, just go up to that next level of throttle. They just want to go a bit faster. Not super happy at that really low level. In the dry, surprising at how low that they're operable. But if they work a little bit better with like a moderate level of throttle input, then I figure why let something go to waste and put it on something that goes usually very fast. This battery. The battery woes continue. This is fresh off the charger. And then if we stop, let it sit for a minute. Yeah, that battery took 2,700 milliamp into it yesterday, into a 3S 5000, and we can kind of do some circles. Oh, these are great. Not only that, we have a real advantage. Like, just leaning, listen to that fan go. Leaning heavily into the Stormtrooper look. It's just all black and white. This guy, today's battery woes aside, has really suffered because it's not a U4. It is generally unfun to drive in its stock configuration. It does not spark joy. Remove the spare tire, paint all the panels, put some 17 millimeter hexes on it, use it as kind of a little basher buggy, and then it's kind of fun. It has 4 bent drive shafts in it, and I couldn't actually tell you if any of the center drive shafts aren't bent. It is not built right. I think these tires suit it quite well. Yeah, these are... Okay, maybe if I don't go full throttle... Nope, there it goes. It's actually cut... Like, that was a full cut. Now, that is a G-Force 5003S, and that battery is aged, over 10 years old. Maybe the internal resistance is just up so high that we're asking for too much draw from it. This is where the traction hobby OT6 KLRs are going to live. Oh, that's great. Even with the throttle reduction, you could hear the cut there. Yeah, you can just throw it around. And if you want to judge if there's any wind today, not really. That's real good. So, the Traction Hobby 3-inch OT6 KLR, alarmingly good. Like, we'll actually crawl a rock a bit, and I'm confident that 93 is there. That's like an honorary degree from a university you didn't attend. You just grew up in that town. It means something to somebody. So that 93, I hope, means something to somebody. That's how long I can get full throttle, and then it just cuts. This guy was just running on 2-2 canyon trails, like straight off of a high trail, and they were pretty good. They're not this good. The 5-inch tire is perfect on here. 8-scale buggy wheel is perfect on here. Yeah, it will just cut. Yeah, and then there's max wide out. And then full again. It has to be the battery because that's a fairly new 10BL120 on there. So, here's a big part of why that 93 stands. If you have something like this, you'll have a use for the tires. I don't even know how much they cost. So, as I said, they were sent in, and I'm glad for it because as soon as I pulled them out of the package, I was like, ooh, I know where those are going. There are certain, and well, as soon as I pulled them out of the plastic, I was like, these are not going to be good enough to fit to a crawler, but they will definitely be good enough to put on a laser newt. which is where they are now and where they shall live. It's black and white. Stormtroopered out. I thank you all so very much for joining us here for this, whatever this was. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. In between now and then, please one and all do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. A little bit of laser nut. Can I do a flyby without hitting the tripod? Maybe. All right. I'll see you next time, everybody.